Hey everybody, it is Dom of Northstarball, and we are finally getting to our Giant Force Rare review right before it comes out. So we got the good time to look through the decks and the cards and see how they stack up.
Yeah, we're a little late. But these cards are still, it was probably these are the kind of cards that definitely change over age. Their initial reaction may not be as good. They're all generally supposed to be generic. There are obviously exceptions to that rule, but we'll just kind of get right into it.
All
I'm
right, so
Dane. That's Dom.
yeah, the usual.
The gang.
Yep. So we'll start with red. We got the Namekian trio: Piccolo Jr., Lord Slug, and King Piccolo. I think we'll just go in order of the pips.
hmm
So Piccolo Jr. What it's we got a red one cost that's not stuck in the sands only, which is pretty nice. Which I mean, sands is not a bad thing to get stuck into if you had to choose one, but in red, probably would prefer Earthlings, but this one is pretty good.
Yeah, it builds markers quite quickly. One, because red is a color that adds markers, but also because if your opponent adds life to their hand or its place in the drop, then it adds markers, and then you have a +1. So you can just like reasonably add 2 markers during your turn, and then possibly add one during your opponent's turn. So there's a lot of quick ways to build it up. Um, 9K is not great for protection, but it's better than a 5K, I guess.
Right. I mean, if you get to that -6 though, you're gonna be in some trouble. Definitely against red. Because
hmm
you get to choose
Uh,
two mono red battle cards, cost 3 or less, 19 power or less, from your deck
different
or
names.
hand. Oh, different with different names.
Some really notable targets to play this. People are really playing this in Broly BR swap, but I think in regular red decks it has some other uses too, because you can play things like Fearless Pan.
That's the big one. You get Fearless Pan and another dude on board to
You,
get the double
you can
strike right
play
away.
Yamcha the Lawless, any of the regular Self Awakeners. Like there is just a lot of solid targets here that you can then use to your advantage while keeping a red unison pretty healthy. This one's going to be pretty tough to kill just because you do add so many markers. So if your opponent leaves it alone for even one turn, it's probably too far gone.
Yep, and then that +1 is also just nice. -5 one of your opponent's battle cards. Very
Blockers in
nice.
Broly,
Yeah. And
very good
then
to deal with them.
in red, you're minusing so you can just play one hit wonders SS3 Goku.
hmm
So if it's gonna be like a swarm deck with Piccolo Jr., you're gonna be swarming pretty early on. Uh,
hmm
Lord Slug, we saw him earlier, and I still think he's probably the best of the reds, just
I would agree.
because just because of that crit. That crit is so good, especially like in peel off, you get a triple attack, crit 3 times.
hmm
Outside of peel off, you also have another minus ability, but is this 10k through barrier, and that just costs you a card in hand. Uh,
Which it's a May, so you don't necessarily have to do it, but still get the plus. I just think it's good because consistent crit is always appreciated. Unisons are likely to stay on board, or it makes your opponent deal with it, which red can't really deal with crackbacks very well. Um, and this lets you do so. And then finally, like you said, Pilaf. I mean, I literally watched it yesterday at our local where it was Frieza versus Pilaf, and Pilaf handed Frieza all the cards in their life. Frieza sat at 1 life for 3 turns as it starved the Pilaf player out of the game
oh, who was playing
because
peel
Jiren.
off?
Uh, uh, we'll keep the player name unknown.
Oh
Um,
no, no.
I mean, there's
I
not many
leave
Pilaf
for
players in
later.
Minnesota, so.
Yeah. That's
Um,
why. That's why I'm like, ooh.
But yeah, so right, he just hands him all the cards, and then Frieza's like, okay, well, even if I have 5 cards in hand and you have 0, or 2, and then freeze and makes it 0.
Hmm.
You have 0 cards. Like it doesn't matter if I have 1 life, you're never gonna hit me again. Um, and like the crit would just change that whole dynamic. Yeah, you're not maybe dealing as much damage that turn, but then when you're actually looking at the game state after your big go off turn, you're going to be in a way better position to win.
Yep. And then the crit also, because you're red, procs the Bardock. I am forgetting his name, but the black Bardock with
Resolute,
Resolute.
the
Yep,
Resolute
the Resolute. Double strike, restands the opponent's counters. Also nice to point out, if your leader is red, you're -4 auto. Now let me just say again, it is an auto. So auto timing, you pay the cost of -4 when that auto timing triggers. So when your opponent activates a counter, you get -4,
also
deal 1 damage.
also pretty good skill. Not
Pretty
broken,
good.
pretty good.
No,
Minus
because
4 seems fair. If it was
especially in
-3, it
red.
might happen a little too often. Yeah, especially red, like you said, right? You can just like in peel off if you're like setting up for a turn 3 play, you could feasibly Bardock, and then depending on what you want to do, you can just burn them or do whatever. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
Who knows?
I think I'm thinking in my head a build for the set 7 red Broly, where he starts with the field card and you get this and the counter Broly. I forgot to counter something Broly. It's that
Counter
super
over.
counter reversal. Yep. Where if your opponent activates a counter, deal damage to
They
them.
take a life. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can double up that damage.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty nice. Maybe. That leader was okay back in set 7. The Surge leader definitely was the better for the archetype, but
Mm-hmm.
not for playing that specific Broly. So we'll see. But that's
Uh,
just an
King
idea.
King Piccolo Giant Force. Crit dual attack. Lot of good pressure there, especially on a 19k.
Hmm.
Your opponent's gonna have to dump a card to take a marker off of it, or swing 20 or higher. Um, Choosing your leader card is so good. That -2, that's just a sensu bean to your leader,
Till your
which in
next
red
turn.
is, yeah, is so strong.
So you can use
So
it
like you'll
aggressively and defensively at the same time.
mhm. So even just like playing this for like 4 and then just -2 is really really powerful. Likewise, obviously the -4 has the potential to be the best effect in the game.
Oh yes. Pay 4 and X, and your leader takes X damage. Or your opponent's leader, sorry.
Uh, it's just tough because that's hefty. -4 on a card that doesn't plus itself, and then also paying 4 energy plus whatever you want to burn. So realistically, you're looking at like a turn 6 or 7, burn 2 or 3,
Only there was a red deck that could do that. Oh
burn an
wait.
extra one.
Bulma.
But I Bulma could stall until that point, especially with blockers, would allow you to play this for like 5 or
Yeah.
4,
And then
4 or 5, and then keep it protected the whole time against non-green decks.
you can just play the Bardock Strategic Mind. He becomes a blocker then. 20k blocker for 3.
Ooh, didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're saying you play this on turn 3, probably awaken that turn, maybe keep
Topo.
2 for like Topo or something,
Yeah. Like
and then Bardock, and then
you have Yamcha's live, you have Wolfing Fist live.
all
You
right.
probably had some other blocker out there already. Like the Gogeta package is neat, but it still like gets to like that 6 energy no matter what. And plus the
Hmm.
Gogeta package adds markers to Unisons too. So this could
So
be like a little nice little finish. Plus that -2 on to Bulma, who already starts at 5k less, is pretty nice too.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, that just kind
Just
of hit
something to
me.
think. I just really like the crit dual attack. That really helps it a lot.
Yeah,
Apply pressure, and I mean,
that
just
right
as a
there.
if it was 3 energy crit dual attack 19k, it would be solid as a battle card.
Exactly. Like just right
Um,
there, like that makes it worth it. And then it's still pulling attacks away from your leader. Your opponent has to deal with it. Attack it 3 times instead of once, like how a battle card would be. So it's actually better.
mhm. So
So these
cool, cool.
red unisons, I think they're all pretty good, solid hits to get. So
Yeah, nothing game breaking here, but they're all good.
yep. Blue, we got some monkeys. Um, let's see, Raditz. I think it's like the most hyped, like out of all the Giant Force rare cards I've
I
seen.
mean,
Like if you go off TCG, this one is like
Dark
the most
Broly is
expensive
also getting
card.
a lot of it. Dark Broly's getting a lot of attention too.
Dark Broly, from the Giant Force cards.
Yeah, or Bio Broly.
Bio Broly, yeah. But this one is like sitting like as of recording was like sitting at $35 for some reason.
I mean, so let's just think about it, right? So as a blocker, this immediately replaces the go almost immediately replaces the Gogeta SS3 as the alternate in Soul Striker, which is as of right now proving to either be the best blue deck or like at least the one with the most results. I still think Vegeto's better, but we'll talk about that at a different time. Um, but it just is a blocker that your leader's going to restand, so you'll get your attack with it, you'll block, and then when it restands or when it activates blocker, you get to restand it. So you get to eat like a leader swing, and then they either have to dump a card or you don't lose a marker, and then you get to block another attack as well.
I just with that though, the plus zero already restands it though.
Yep.
Oh, but you
Well,
get to
and so
swing
that's good in
twice. You get to swing twice
yes,
then. Yeah, you're right.
yeah.
So
Well,
this.
no, that's at the end of this turn.
Oh
So the
yeah, yeah,
leader
you're
was
right. You're
going to
right. You're right.
restand it back anyway, so you could do the -2 and still get the restand.
So you like play it
Um,
before then in Soul Striker and then get two
mhm.
blocks out of it
Get it and
if they
then
decide to
restand an
try to bump
energy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the real issue with that in Soul Striker is just that it doesn't add markers ever, and sometimes you have to keep Trunks online, which Baby is really good at doing. Um,
Hmm.
so like it's a good card when it's good, like especially if you're playing against like Pilaf or something where they're not going to dump a card to get rid of a marker, and it can stop two attacks. Great, best card in deck, you know. But
Yeah.
it
Cool.
it's just like a secondary choice to Baby, I think.
Yeah. I
Better than
better than. I'm sorry.
better than Gogeta.
Okay. Yeah. I just didn't really see like I get it. It's a three cost specific blue, which then goes with the Soul Striker, which is really popular at the moment. There's a couple. It topped a few events, and then got a couple highlighted videos on it. I like to say Dan and I put our deck list out, pretty early, so a little ahead
Oh
of the curve
man.
there.
I mean, to be fair, these Soul Striker lists are running slightly different from mine. I was just running like a stall. They're actually playing like the Baby Ape and all that stuff.
I mean, you had it in there. I feel like every blue deck will just
I didn't.
have that
I didn't
stuff in
actually have
there.
the baby. I didn't have the
Oh
Baby
no,
Ape in
you're
my
right. You
list.
did not. You did not. Most of the decks will probably just run the Baby A package, but
But every other card in the deck was the same. Zamasu super combo for
yeah.
Draw Apes
So this
to
is
that.
also, I guess that's another thing. Like we gotta look at these cards and just compare it to the Baby A package. Like, are you gonna give up the Baby Unison?
Nope. I think you'll run
Blue is getting up there.
two. Yeah, blue is really returning back a little bit. I think it definitely as a generic color got the most out of draft box, but uh we'll kind of see. It's just going to go along with the baby. So
Yeah,
Bardock,
Bardock. He goes with the
this
crew.
is this is like one of the simplest unison cards we've seen in a long time.
Two costs. Two cost means it is searchable, right? Because of the Mai.
This is the Maya, and then it's just 15k plus one is top five for a blue Bardock screw. And then -2 negate an attack. The -2 is neat because it's on an auto. Auto negates are rare, and they can actually like win games now because blue is getting so popular
Right.
with the baby counter, and they can't really do a whole lot to stop an auto like that.
Yep. Auto is not a counter. A negate does not mean it is a counter. A counter skill is a counter. This is an auto. So just like Janima back in the day. The plus one's really nice. So you would play this like turn two, plus one, and they can even just -2 on your opponent's turn. On like one of the
I,
main attacks you need to hit, not get hit by, if you have to.
I still just think the card's biggest weakness is going to be the deck that it's supposed to be played in has a really strong turn two play, whereas it doesn't necessarily have a turn three play, and drawing one card as opposed to tutoring for a card on a plus two is generally better, therefore, probably just play baby.
Right. And it's kind of weird. It's like one of the first instances we see like the card itself fit into the archetype as the unison.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's like 1 to 1.
Yeah, this is straight up just Bardock, and he goes into the Bardock deck, and it's not like a different universe Bardock. At least that doesn't look like it.
No, this is just regular Bardock. It's not Xeno.
So it's kind of like
Hmm.
that's just one thing that I just don't like. Like I like how they were doing like
Completely.
semi relating or like completely opposite. Like
Yeah.
Kale going with Broly BR. Like cool.
Broly BR going with Dark Broly.
Exactly.
Yep, simple one. King Vegeta.
Hey, so we have a cycle with the X's, but his is the cheapest. I think
His is
both
the
it.
cheapest.
I
Only
think the
one more.
minus and the cost is cheapest, right?
Yes, it's a -3, but I think yellow also has a -3.
You might be right. We'll
Or
see.
no,
It's
green is a -3, yellow is a -4.
gotcha. So minus three is the cheapest of the minusing part of the markers, but that X is just one blue, and then X. And
Which is
it's
definitely
yeah, it's really nice. Um,
um notably, it's like a two-turn play. Blue does have Baby Hatch, so you can like play this for 3 with the intention of getting it or like for 2, and then return one of their cards to the hand, and then you sit at 3 markers, and then you just Baby Hatch to your next turn, and then you just -3 and tap as much energy as you want to draw a bunch of cards. Um, or it's a like 3 energy, remove 2 things or whatever have you. It
bottom
seems
deck,
fine.
bottom deck, pretty
Yeah,
good.
bottom deck, which is better than bounce
Which
to
is
hand, like all the
better
other blue
now against
effects.
the Servant Overlord decks. Mm,
Hmm.
mm, mm. Yeah, you
Covering
probably
their
you probably
bottom.
draw cards though.
Um, it's just weak in comparison to other blue unisons, but in it itself is fine.
Hmm.
Just when you have to go up against Baby Unison, Zeno, and Raditz, and then SS4 and Gotenks, it just falls really flat.
But what if you play it like in Soul Striker or SS? No, probably Soul Striker, right? You play it in Soul Striker, and then you like minus three, tap all your energy, draw a bunch of cards, and then restand and play Baby again. Play Baby, draw
Also,
another
you
card.
gotta you gotta yeah, you gotta think about how much you can actually draw in that case, right? So
Yeah,
in Soul Striker, you're still gonna be playing your 3 drop unisons because you need to get the Earthly Awaken. So this is like a turn 4 play, setting up for a turn 5 draw. So you could spend your whole turn 5 drawing 4 cards, or you could just like play Obuni and not necessarily have to make this like weird combo.
true. Yeah, card's kind of weird. I think we'll have to see the future of some blue decks. I think right now, like the
Could
blue
be
dot
nuts
deck
in
is
Vegeta.
pretty. Oh yes,
Could
all
be
that
nuts in
energy.
Vegeta,
Because you already draw a bunch or get a lot of energy with the SR.
or in SS3 as well.
SS3
Could
would
just
be
be
nice. Yeah.
because you could play it for like 5 or 6, give it a plenty of markers, and then also restand 3 to protect it. Play Gohan, and then yeah,
Then just pop it for your six and draw five,
yeah,
and then
you
restand
could,
three.
and that would be actual draw 5. Yeah, so
That'll just fix this whole like early hand problem, I guess.
but he already has that with Vegeta. This is
Yeah,
just maybe like a non-interactable way. Like only yellow can do anything about it. So
true.
we'll
Okay.
see.
All right. Green, 2-1 cost, which is already a tight competition because that Demigra though.
The Amigra, that's so hot right now.
No, but Hurdigarn, he's gonna definitely be sure played in his archetype, which is again like the same card in its own archetype.
Yeah, this card is honestly just so strong. Um, it has the Bardock type effect, but you have to discard a card where you to control their combo area. Um, and then the +2 is really good because it helps you ditch. Obviously, it helps you keep alive. As a 15K, you're going to be able to stick around for that first turn almost always. And then you can make sure to ditch like the Hurdigar 9 or an extra Tabion or something that you don't need that would set up a different Hurdigar play.
Yeah, it really helps the green with their drop area effects. Like you can just like set up a dispo right there.
Yep. And then choosing a hero or Phantom Demon and KOing it. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yep.
I saw Eggman run a revive coup with the Hurdigar 9 and this. This just added so much consistency to the deck because you could +1, blow up your 9 drop on your turn, get the revive skill, draw an additional card, draw 2 cards or whatever. And then when it goes back to your opponent's turn, when you actually go to block and then you like combo with a Hoy on their turn or something,
Hmm.
you have basically a turn over turn way to kill it and then the 4 copies of Hoy in your deck.
That's like two attacks also with the was it the 9 drop, right? Yeah.
Yep,
Because you
the 9 drop
swing
will.
and then blow it up. And then swing again.
Yep, and
Or
you'll
no, you
you'll rip
block you
two
block.
cards out of their you'll rip 2 cards out of their hand when you block, and then you'll draw cards because you're using revive.
Yeah, so this lets you swing with it and then you kill it and then bring it then you just keep it to block, which will rip 2 hands. Yep. I like it. I
Quite
like it.
Bio Broly, I don't get the hype on this card.
I think people are talking
I
about
think
it
it's
in Frieza, but like
yeah, but I'd rather
just play Dark Broly
play
and crit.
yeah, I'd rather play that or really anything. There's so many good like there are 4 or 5 green unisons that all make sense to play in that deck in some capacity, and I just don't see Bio Broly standing a chance when Metacooler and Dark Broly set up your turn 3 so well, and then yeah, it's like okay, well this is online turn 1, and then you get Frieza and what's it called? Because like if anything, this is just allowing you to do your Dodoria plays turn 1.
But you rather like play Pod.
Yeah, I'd rather establish a pod and then like turn 2 do it. Like it's solid. Don't get me wrong. Not trash at all. You play it in Frieza, I get it, but I think people are highly overvaluing this auto, and honestly, everything else about the deck is just kind of meh. Or about the Unison is meh.
What about seeing that it is a one specific cost if it plays in any multicolor decks? Like red green, you can send your dormant. What's it called? Dormant
Dormant
legend?
potential. Or
Dormant
Dormant
legend.
Legend, yeah.
Set up your red
I
green
mean, it's
Broly.
fine, but I'd rather take the protection of Demigra being able to self awaken.
That's yeah. I mean he takes three he takes 3 hits because he comes back with one, so he takes a third hit because you're gonna +1. But yeah, I don't
You
know.
have to
What
lose
other
cards to do that.
what other green yellow green wouldn't want this, would they? No. Red green, blue green. Yeah, I can't
It's
really
just
think.
like it's solid in Frieza, but I don't really get it for other decks. Other than I guess what's that bio Black Broly plays the
Oh, the
bio
pod Broly.
men bio yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, with the bio weakers.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. Because you discard them, and
But
then
again, that
they
doesn't
play
seem great. You still
themselves.
have to like lose 2 cards in hand to play a 15K.
We draw, and then you pop them, and then it's kind of a weird deck.
Yeah. Point is, meh.
Meh.
Let's talk about Cell.
Cell, Giant Force. He's the other X, and he's
Cell
green,
Xeno
so he
is
just
so
like
ugly.
discards them. We still don't have like a perfect form Cell Xeno card. We just have like the big bug mode.
So ugly. Um
He has all pluses, but he is a
yeah,
3.
well, he has a -3
Oh, he has a -3. My
because
bad.
he has
I don't know
the
why I thought that was a
effect.
plus. seeing things.
Um, its first effect is okay. You can trade your cards for your opponents. Um, don't really like that the wording is not KO your own and it's KO on your opponent's card. That's pretty bad.
Well, it's not a lot of cards that KO your own cards. Just like mostly the Hrudigarn
Well,
stuff
these
is the
don't play.
most.
Yeah, these don't KO. These place and drop, which is that
Yeah.
what I'm saying is like worse, unfortunately.
Yes, yes, I know, I agree.
Um,
I was saying like there's not a lot of cards that KO your own cards in general. There's like there were two before. I think there's like two before the whole
uh,
Hrudigarn set. But
yeah,
I get old green Burly BR vibes here.
yeah, it's like fine. Um, and then the +0 is cool. Just remove a marker.
Yeah, it's
The
just like
-3 would be really good if green had slightly better floodgate or a slightly better way to make a turn survive. Like if your opponent wants to take away some markers on this, they can. Like if you play it for 3 and then you go, okay, I'd like to dormant potential, block, and negate. If they just remove your blockers or they have a counter, they can at least remove one. And realistically, this is going to at most rip 3 cards for 6 energy,
hmm
but Ribrianne's in your drop would have ripped 6 cards for 6 energy, or any other green cards that rip cards.
Yelp. It's like Rev Rian, and if we go like look at the drawing from the King Vegeta and Draw Ape, like they just overshadow it, and it's like it's much easier to get to because they're just in the drop. That's all they have to
Or
do.
even or even Vegeta.
Which
You could just
Vegeta?
play him for 5, the AOD Resolute
Oh,
Agent of
correct.
Destruction Unison. You just play him for 5, get a 20 double crit swing, and then just -5 immediately and rip 3 cards after getting a much more deadly swing in. Whereas Cell wouldn't necessarily have that swing, and he has to use markers and his thing and a bunch of energy to do that.
Yeah,
I think this
it's
is the worst of the X effects that we have.
I would agree because it's cost so much. And
Costing 3 means that no matter how much you do, it will always be worse than just ribrianning and using other hand control skills.
it's not even like the same ratio to like AOD Android 13 from set 6. Like he was just pay 2 and he also KO'd a card at the same time
Hmm.
for also being it and he was crit. Like
Just
I'd rather
not.
play 3 for that card and then have him survive a turn.
Yup.
Yeah. All right. Green, lackluster except for Hrudigarn deck and the
I
Bio
think, yeah,
Broly. It,
Fruitigarn is really strong in its archetype, and then Bio Broly could be okay in Frieza.
yeah. All right. Yellow, Bergambo. We talked about him once before. He's still pretty good.
Hmm.
Being a 1 yellow, having your escape from evil's live early. Definitely like if you're against. No, not escape. Release. Sorry. Release from evil
Release from Evil. Release from Evil, and Vegeta
and Vegeta.
being both
Definitely
online are
like
very powerful.
if you're going second versus
Like a Teen Gohan
reboot
deck or something.
Gohan, like you're set. 3,000 when he gets attacked, so they can't. They have to. He gets a marker for each. 3,000 for each marker. Gains marker when he gets attacked. So he's already at 11k
But
on turn
he's
one.
gonna lose one. So he cuts even basically, as he requires an additional attack to remove any markers from him. If you want to remove a marker, you have to waste at least one swing or one quote unquote strike, one damage to
If he
him.
goes to 11 and then 14, so if you play him turn one, like he's not really gonna go anywhere. Like your opponent will swing once with their leader,
Hmm.
and he still goes up to. Let's see, so it's one. He's at 8.
But they just wouldn't swing with their leader into it is the thing. They would just swing
Yeah,
leader to leader.
yeah. Like he's really not going anywhere early.
I think the biggest issue for him is that he doesn't have a minus worth using.
Right, skillless battle card or Universe 9 with
And then it
custom
comes in play
abilities.
in rest mode, which is odd because there's just no reason for that to be the case.
Best
Um,
best case is Successor. The other one for Universe 9, you set up your trio to danger circle triangle thing.
People, yeah, but only I think only uh there's the one Basil that's a minus or that's a one drop, but I don't think there's any others that are yellow and oh, it's just any
No, it's just
U9
any
card. So
U9
you
card.
could
Yeah, you
okay.
can play the blue ones even.
Okay.
Yeah, you play all of them.
That could be pretty good in like if someone actually tried to like reboot the blue yellow U11 U9 deck making use of Mark of the Wolves.
Yeah,
Okay, something to look into.
I think Bergamo pretty good. Purunga, I personally kind of like Purunga.
I mean, I like it. Like it's interesting and I think there might come a time where it's useful. I just don't see it staying alive for very long, and then it doesn't really accrue markers at all. So it has the active main to add a marker to it, and then you presumably want to -1 to draw one card and choose one of your opponent's battle or choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and it can't attack or it can't be switched to active mode. Um, but I just don't find a time where this will be better than any other yellow unison. But I could be wrong.
Once you cards rest with engage skills for the turn KO.
I think that's a better
That
effect
that
because
is
it's
good.
basically a 2 energy um,
Kill
removal to anything,
re-
ignoring
remove
cost,
Sin
like
Shenron without worries.
or more realistically, go tanks because Sin won't be in rest mode until later in the turn. But if you swing correctly and then they like if you bait them or whatever to do
Right.
it,
Yes.
will be better because we're getting more floating effects now.
Hmm.
The game goes on longer, more floating effects, the more standard they become because cards with on play and floating effects become the best cards, and power creep is real.
Till rotation.
Okay, and then we play the exact same decks, but now they're all just slightly weaker.
Exactly. All right. So
But
yeah,
but
for
like they're weaker option wise. Whatever.
I think as a two cost
One cost.
two as a two cost kill anything in rest mode negating its skill is really good.
Yes,
Like as
agreed.
an like it's an extra card.
Yep.
Think of it that way.
Um,
Metacooler Core Giant Force. This one's neat. I like it.
well, so it's neat and it's really stupid. One, it's great because Metacooler players never shut up about Metacooler. Um,
They really don't.
but it's also the like right on board with the Bardock as being right inside of the archetype, which I think
Yeah.
is kind of lame.
Yeah.
It would be if this was like regular cooler or Frieza. Could you imagine if we had Mecha Frieza as the unison for that?
Oh yeah, that would be
That'd be
better.
so cool.
Yeah. I like
Um,
that. I like
but it's
that.
not.
Let's see.
Uh, it plays or it gives Metacooler tokens or the 2 drop. I guess you could give it to a bigger card, but it
It's
gains blocker.
any yellow meta cooler, which also includes the leader.
Infinite Force.
The leader?
And the leader, yeah.
Then you give the leader blocker. So like I guess if they're like, oh, I'm gonna swing at your unison, no, let me awaken, please.
I mean, you're always gonna your leader awakens immediately though, remember? Like all you have to do is have 3
Okay,
Frieza.
give me cards from life, please.
Yeah. But even then, you'd rather just swing to get the attack draw or whatever.
True.
Attack. I think it's attack and play a meta cooler from your
Yes.
draw.
Also, it would have been nice if it wasn't tokens and just plays like the meta coolers.
Hmm.
That probably would have been better. Is it better?
Someone just explained to me. I mean, it doesn't. I would if it played from deck, sure, but not if it's from drop, because you already have
Right.
it hard enough getting enough in there.
Right. Playing from deck
Um,
would be good, but I guess if these tokens have a combo power, there's really no difference.
they do, yeah. There's basically none except that they're not
Would
more
Be-
meta coolers.
Best part be that they're skillless cards, while the other ones are not because they have a permanent.
Can
I
someone just explain to me why this +1 plays them in rest mode?
oh yeah,
Why?
gross.
It could just play it in active mode. It really wouldn't matter.
Like actually, no, it wouldn't. That's literally like what the green one
So,
does.
except it doesn't.
What's the why?
Why Bandai?
Oh yeah, but okay, but the X effect is really good.
X Effect can win games.
Coming from
Just
my background of Frieza Wish, I played that Sorbet Wish Leader. My go-to kill turn was using the Big Wish, tapping their energy, and they're like, "Oh crap, I can't negate." I win.
hmm big issue, if anything, would just be I feel like it probably should have cost 2. -4 is fair. Just I wish it was 2x rather than 3x. Because that means that even on turn 6 you can tap up to 3, but that uses your whole turn.
You're right.
That means you had to have your win con already on board, which since this pretty clearly wants to be in meta cooler, um, doesn't really have that great of a win con. Like if it's especially stuff that's supposed to stay on board, it's like the giant force, which is just a 30k single strike.
Oh, the core.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I guess like swarm the board with meta clears, but then like you lose to any dormant potential unleash because that just floodgates for free if they have a unison on board.
Or like Wolfang Fists, or After Image stops 2 attacks in that deck, or D Magic sets the energy right back up. So yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's
It's fine.
yeah.
Bergamo just seems good. Purunga could be good. Metacooler Metacooler players are happy. I
Yeah.
don't think they're
I still
gonna be
like
topping.
we gave it some crap with the just now with the X tapping energy and they can still like negate, but like you still like tapping out an opponent is still really strong.
Yep.
Uh
I just wonder if there's a better way to do it in general. Because there's a couple boss monster yellow cards that now tap all their energy. Um, Teen Gohan, Super Saiyan Bardock. I think there's a 7-drop Bergamo that does it from Draft Box 5.
I think so. There's also the Frieza stuff, the
And then there's
evolve
obviously there's the regular U9
the
too.
evolve Bardock super rare Bardock from set 3.
Yep, talked about it. So I don't know if it's necessarily worth running over your other ones. If anything, it's just a nice thing. Like Cooler will say, "Hey, you have to pay attention to me."
Yep.
In Meta Cooler, which allows you to then use more turns swinging at your opponent's face.
Yep. So I think all in all, this draft box, it seems like I feel like it's like the best draft box we've had, like in terms of how powerful it should be. Nothing screams
Mm,
broken yet, which is always the problem though with draft boxes yet, because once they
I
start
like
printing it,
I like Draft Box 5 power level more. This Draft Box just doesn't feel like it really adds much to the meta. Like if you think about like a wider meta impact, it basically seems like we're going to make Vegito a little bit better, but only if people use the Bardock stuff, and then Broly gets better.
which
But I don't
Vegito?
Blue Vegito
Okay.
because of Bardock
Yep.
blocker stuff. I just don't foresee any like when we talk about different draft box sets, we usually talk about set blank point five. So like set 9.5 was like my favorite meta that we've had in the game's history so far.
Too bad that's the
Um
Corona meta.
yeah, it was but it was super cool like what was there.
Hmm.
All the surge decks were great. There's a lot of variety not only in the leaders themselves, right? We had like 7 to 10 super viable leaders, and then those decks all basically had alternate ways to be run.
I think
Um,
two are clearly running away with it though.
Yeah, and but that's okay when they still didn't win every event. Tournament of Power, granted that was before 9.5, still went to Invoker.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
so, but I don't think the quote unquote 11.5 meta matters. I think it barely changes anything because the cards are just a little underpowered. They're fine cards. There are maybe some like slight upgrades to already existing decks, but I don't think there is anything that is going to shake the meta here.
Uh,
Which,
I think there's one, which is
what do you think?
the King Piccolo super rare.
Yeah, and but even then, so for those that don't already listen, I think Red Broly Swap is the best deck in format. Like if played at actual level with all four tournament promos, and assuming you don't have my luck, you're gonna that deck just stomps so many decks into the ground.
He just needs to work on that Sin Shenron matchup.
That's admittedly that matchup is like ungodly awful, but there's we've theory crafted sideboard ways from this draft box actually that make it better.
Yep.
Um, so
Well, yeah, we'll see. The was it like description that they gave to like distributors was like so they'll keep supporting draft. So hopefully that means they'll keep printing the set then. It sounds like they might be doing that because there's no foil commons on commons at all, just rares. Because okay, some people got the boxes early, and even the Cybermen shout out to them, got the open one officially and do a draft to show people how the drafting works. That Dragon Ball Bandai sent them, and they said no commons and uncommons are foil. All the rares are foil, and there was 7 super rares and 4 of the Giant Force rares per box, which are
four is
very very good numbers.
better than three that we've seen in the past.
How many
This means
was there more super
those
rares too? Like there was 5 in the last set, wasn't there?
no, there were seven.
Okay.
Um, but right, so this basically means that you have to get like 12 boxes to get full playsets, which I think is a decently fair thing to ask.
Right.
Like that's not crazy. Um, Obviously it's still a lot, but this means that most packs, like half the packs in the box, are either a giant force rare or a super rare.
Which is awesome. Feels good.
Feels good.
But I think, yeah, if we're just gonna close it off and say like which Giant Force color won, I think it's red, clearly by quite a bit.
Um,
That's my opinion.
I think as a color, blue one, but I think because of one card, red one.
Really, I think all the red cards are way
I
more
think people
playable.
are still kind of sleeping. I don't know if the burn stuff is all that great. Burning your opponent to 4 isn't really good, except in Invoker.
Oh no, I'm not saying color in general. I just mean Giant Force rares. Unison. Sorry.
Oh, the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
rares? Yes.
Red.
Blue or red for sure got like the best. And then probably green, and then blue, and then yellow.
Yeah, I think green second just because that Hirudegarn really turns on that deck.
Very excited to build Revive Coup with that
But
engine.
yeah,
So
all in all, the set I think is really good. It's much better than we're used to with Draftbox. Uh, just because like I don't see any card being like $60 on release in the future,
except for
of course,
Piccolo.
except for Piccolo. But even then, I still don't think he'll be $60 on release because he's just kind of like a more aggression
Two,
card, and it has
he's
an
a two or three of in one deck that we know
yeah,
of right now.
and he's an easy substitute for that Bardock that does about the same thing.
Cool. Thanks for watching for the Giant Force stuff, guys. Later this week, or if you're watching live now, we're going over the expansion set. So make sure to stay tuned and like and subscribe.